business. So we have a few items in here. So the first one on the agenda is discuss and consider proclamation celebrating Library Week. Find Your Joy 2026. For this, Cindy did graciously write a memo for us. Do you want to discuss it a little bit?
This year's Library Week is Find Your Joy, and the proclamation is in the agenda, and I would just add, it'd be nice to have this posted on our social media, and I know there's going to be a switch out of the book in Community Park. I know there's an extra pedestal. If we could, maybe we can put it there too, with some joyous book recommendations or something.
What week is Library Week?
Next week.
Next week. Okay, just confirming.
So that is April 19th through the 25th, to be exact. I'll just say this mirrors other proclamations we've done in the past for Library Week, minus the little additions for this year's one. So I have no concerns whatsoever with this. But
I make a motion to approve the Library Week Find Your Joy proclamation for 2026 with direction to make it well known somehow.
Second.
Motion by Cindy, seconded by Megan. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on our agenda is discuss and consider cancellation of the August 19th, 2026 Library Board meeting. So as we discussed previously, most likely this was going to be the date of the community night out. And so that has been confirmed. So with that, we do need, as an action item, to officially cancel the meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Cindy, seconded by Megan. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions? Motion carries, or motion passes. Jeez Louise. I guess it does work that way. Right. So then the last item under new business for us is discuss and consider vendor payments under 1,000 to be processed biweekly and amendments to the policy manual. So I did write this memo that you found attached. So a little bit of background in here. So this is coming directly from Cameron and the finance team, just because I think the main reason is this will align with the village board's bill payment process, which is biweekly. And so that does two things. One, it does alleviate the need for cutting checks outside of that, because we previously have been approving bills monthly in there, and sometimes they aligned, sometimes they did not. So then that's part of why we're going to shift to the biweekly process to make it easier, or kind of align with the village staff process in there. But then the second and third things here is, for the most part, when we look back at our bills review, we knew what was coming through. Most of the things have been supplies, small purchases, etc., and things that would not be concerned about for the most part of us automatically approving in the past. But one of the things that Cameron mentioned is we probably should set a limit where any purchases over X number of dollars does need approval from the library board, formal approval, before the payment actually goes through. he recommended $1,000. That's what is in the memo here because it's pulling directly from the communications with Cameron. Um, that's just, again, a placeholder. We can agree with it. We can change it, but that's where that number has come from. And then the third thing, just to alleviate all concerns, is that all payments, regardless of the amounts, will continue to be submitted to the library board and kind of reviewed and approved in there. So this is not going to get wrapped up into the village board process, even though it's following that cycle. And so either way, the library board still will maintain full autonomy and control over this process. And so if we go through this, there is, we do have to make the policy manual amendments. And so I just threw in quick draft language in there with just an opening sentence, but all the main points that I just made down below. So with that, go ahead, Megan.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, if there's any, I'm trying to figure out if there's any downside to doing it this way, but it seems like it just makes it more efficient for the village to process things. I don't know if it changes how the programming specialist does payments in any way.
Good comment. So this does make it probably a little bit more easier to communicate with our individuals we do contract, because now we can guarantee and anticipate when those checks will be cut. It'll be a lot speedier than in the past because we had to wait for the library board to approve it. We've told our vendors, like, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait until this time period, and sometimes that falls outside of what the contract they typically do. So we ask for leniency or understanding, or sometimes we've had to cut that check a little bit early in there as well to kind of maintain that vendor relationship.
So this makes us more efficient and more compliant with
Yep.
vendors and stuff. Okay. I don't have any other questions. It seems reasonable to me.
And I think that there is a policy that we have that anything over $2,500 has to be approved by the board before it can even be, go through. So I don't see a problem with this.
So that does raise.
As the,
Sorry, go ahead,
oh,
Monica.
so sorry. I was gonna say, as the program coordinator, I love this idea. We've had some issues in the past, just again, like JP had mentioned, in trying to get these relationships, and especially with summer reading coming up and attempting to book a few different performers and some different programming options. This will make that so much easier. I know that I often end up pestering the office staff at Village Hall, so I think they would also appreciate it if we had a little bit more frequency and if it did align with what they're already operating on.
I move approval as presented.
Okay, motion by Cindy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passed.
And you'll be the one updating the
Yep.
policy.
So then, yep, next steps is I will take this, update the policy, communicate with village staff to ensure they are aware, the finance team in particular. And again, this will be into our policy manual as well. Okay, moving on. The next item on our agenda is the program report. So I will turn it over to Monica.
Thank you. So in regards to programming, everything seems to be going really, really well. We've had loads of participation. Our tween scene is staying very steady. Our numbers there are great. We are, so that's doing great for that. Our story times very consistent with Thursday attendance for that. All of the different programs there. The biggest thing is our upcoming sustainability fair for this Saturday. Despite our best intentions by trying to make that selection for the date so far in advance, there are loads of conflicts that are coming up. The high school is doing their musical theater performances that weekend. So unfortunately, we haven't been able to get some of the speakers that we were hoping for. I will be posting an update on social media, kind of with a schedule for what the event will look like. We only right now have one speaker, and I think that that should be fine. They're going to give a 20-minute presentation on composting 101. The idea will be to have about 10, potentially even 20 different stations set up with activities that correspond with it, as well as sustainability tips that are available. We will not have any representation from Village in regards to Department of Public Works. It's just not going to work out with the calendar and schedule. They are doing their tech collection that day for the recycling. And so it's just the manpower was not able to be dispersed. So we will make sure to share information accordingly. So that is what sustainability fair is going to look like, which means on our end, it is going to come way under budget for what we were anticipating. So that should be fine. Um, I would like to make a note so that we could consider in the future either planning an event like that at the very, very beginning of April in an attempt to kind of not be in conflict. It's already in conflict with different sporting events that have already started up throughout the community, also. Or if we kind of scale it back and celebrate similarly to how we did for the Brain Week, and kind of doing a different program of the different evening, tying it in with story time and making it a smaller week-long celebration for the Earth Day impact closer to. So something to consider for the future. As for summer reading program and handouts, I have the calendar at about 80% complete. We are sticking with all of the same programming with the exception of no school days and no 4K days as part of the calendar. We are adding consistently an additional Tuesday and Wednesday programming. The bulk of our summer reading weekly events will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with story times. We are shifting summer story times at Community Park. It's got a great shelter, it's shaded, the story walk is there, so it's an added benefit. And of course, the playground there is awesome too. So we will be shifting there for that. We have also tapped into North Lawn Park, will be our primary location for a Tuesday, Wednesday programming. So those will be the two parks that we mainly keep with. After talking with Sean with Parks and Rec, it was advised to minimize Bakken. The green space directly to the, trying to think of my cardinal directions there. I think it would be considered to the south of the shelter. That green space is going to be used as a setup station for the upcoming construction. So because of that, it really creates a tight space around the shelter and would probably be more of a distraction for programming elements. So we'll likely limit a lot of usage there.
With the move from Taylor Prairie to Cottage Grove, do you think there's a problem with using North Lawn? Do you think the school will?
I already asked.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with, the poor school district. So they have assured me that it should not be a conflict with the parking space. They're primarily using the bus turnaround area for any access that they're doing. So it shouldn't be an issue. And the shelter at North Lawn is far enough back. I did inquire about playground access, which they assured me should also still be accessible. And if it does become an issue, they will give me a heads up prior to. So this is just going to be a lot of kind of communication in advance to make sure, hey, I noticed some stuff going on outside. Do we need to start shifting? Did that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be a lot of that. So our budget should be pretty decent. A lot of it is just really simple things. We are going to create a summer reading program and enrollment. And I am going to create a Google Doc for that. So that way we can actually get registrations for it. We are going to work on some prizes. I have a community member who has graciously offered to donate 100 different 3D printed fidgets. Some of them will align with the dinosaur dig into it. Theme, so that'll be kind of fun, and that is going to be a donation, so that's fantastic. Our tween scene for next month, they will be helping to create kind of screen printed tote bags as different prizes for adults as well as the youth. So that way it is a little bit bigger, partnering with different community businesses as well. Like I said, utilizing those outdoor spaces. We are offering programs at a 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 2. So again, just offering a variance of options. I have it tentatively set to be at least one Saturday a month for programming for families that do have grown-ups that work outside of the home and or in the home, but just still cannot access until the weekends. Um, so trying to make it so that we do have loads of options for that. I do have a question. I had an idea in that I would love for the library to sponsor as part of our summer reading once a month for June, July, and August for sure to be part of the Music in the Grove performances. For example, having David Landau, Icky Sticky Bubblegum, perform one evening. And then I have a few different performers per a recommendation to reach out to some of the Kids in the Rotunda performers. And so I've got some that have been fantastic that I'm going to reach out to see if they could. I did check with Sean if he was okay if we helped with that, and he thought that was a fabulous idea. That will also allow us to help advertise that it is part and provided by the Village of Cottage Grove Library. But these are some performers that are much more family centric, so that's going to differentiate some of the services that are provided for that. Do we feel okay if I move forward with that?
I think it makes sense. Is there, besides planning for them and promoting them, is there anything else that the library board or the programming specialist, AKU, is then responsible for in regards to that?
If anything, it's actually a very easy light program for me because it doesn't require a lot of in the moment execution for the program. It's just that pre-planning. And at this point, I would rather have them booked here within the month. That way it's already a set done deal. So that way we can have that for kind of helping to advertise for the summer reading program, as well as just already knowing ahead of time we already have this created. And I think it would just be a really good draw. There will be costs associated with that. It should fall well under the $1,000 mark. Because I am booking them in advance, we will have to pay them in advance. Most do require a deposit kind of a thing. So that would be the biggest thing there. I think honestly, of all the performers, I think David Landau is the most expensive at about $600 for the hour performance. It doesn't require any setup or legwork on our part. These performers, they bring their own equipment, they set up their own stuff, they take their own stuff down. So I don't think that that should be an issue.
Would you find sponsors for it?
So for ours, I could. The whole purpose was, I think, for us to be able to say that it's one of our programs, because Music in the Grove as a program in and of itself, Sean often finds sponsors. So in theory, we, the library, are the sponsor for that monthly performance.
I think why I like the idea of one of the things that just want to think through is the budget element of it, because if 600 is for one performer and then we have to pay the others, we're talking about $1,000+ at this point, all said and done, which again in the budget is almost a tenth ish of the programming budget that we were allocated for this year.
And that is covering for 3 months of programming.
I think I'd rather see it finding a sponsor like has been done before. And then I don't know where you would have it. you'd have to have electrical set up, and I know Bakken's gonna be under construction, so.
Music in the Grove is going to be hosted at Dublin Park as
Okay.
it was originally. Porta potties will be brought in for it, so it is centrally located inside of a neighborhood, which is vastly improving the reach for the community component to that.
I think the village has relationships with people who have, or companies who have sponsored before, and if we want to do this, I think that that's a good direction to go in, is to contact them first.
I agree. I remember in the past we have had sponsors for some of our events, the larger ones as well, or partnerships in there. So I think us seeking out sponsorships will be a good way to go. That way it does extend our budget a little bit more. We're a little bit more financially sound to give us opportunities down the line as well. Granted, I know we're in a good spot budget wise as well, so I'm not overly concerned. But if we can stretch our dollar to do more things later, I think that does give us. I like having that opportunity. I think is at the end of the day.
Is there the dates?
Sorry,
already set?
Mike.
Thank you. The date's already set for these Music in the Groves? Because I'm just wondering if we could, like, since it's at Dublin, if we could make sure that the ones that maybe we're contributing to sponsoring would be on the same nights as Bookmobile? Or is it not on Wednesdays? No?
And I can hardly hear you.
Oh, I was gonna say, is there any way to coordinate with the Bookmobile at Dublin?
So the time of day that the program is
It's already
served
set.
starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Music in the Grove is already a set program that is through the Parks and Rec. Over the years, the program itself has waned a little bit because community sponsorship has waned, which is why we would be the community sponsors helping to continue and perpetuate the program. And our budget, as it stands, allows for that in a healthy standpoint. And so that would allow us to be the sponsors for that. We are not spending a lot of money on any of our other programming components for summer reading. Quite frankly, the majority of our costs will probably be associated with the prizes, which again is very, very minimal. If you look to date for programming, hardly spend anything. And we are easily almost to that 6 month mark, allowing that healthy budget. And based on what we did spend this past fall, we're very on track. So this would be allowing for that. And again, creating more greater visibility for the library and attendance and programming.
Maybe just a quick question. Is this is the like children kind of centered performers before the other performers or instead of a different band? Not sure if that makes sense.
So In the Grove is just it's on Thursdays. In
Mhm.
theory, it's in every Thursday, June, July, and August. In the past, probably last summer especially, they seldom were able to maintain it as a weekly program. To date, they have one performer booked in June already. I believe that's for the week of Fireman's Fest. After that, there's nothing so much in the books. I reached out seeing if we could sponsor one for June, July, and August. It is just 1 hour, one performer. Did that answer your question, Allie?
Sorry. Nope, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if it was like the same evening, but it's a different evening than the
This
ones that
also,
they're scheduling.
yeah, so it'll go on those Thursdays.
Mhm.
And this is very much on board with what we have been talking about as a library board in discussing adding more musical components, also providing further evening programming. This is part of that community collaboration element as well. So it's hitting multi usages for us. And again, creating a summer reading program that we have never, ever had. in our 3 years of programming. So we don't have to decide anything now. Something to think about. But I would like to move forward on attempting to book some of these performers. Um, Based on your guys' reaction to this, I'm very curious how we're going to feel about. I was contacted by a company called Bubble Bash. They come and provide an hour-long bubble program in which they bring everything. The bubbles are non-toxic. They actually bring music that corresponds, and they play music for the hour. And it's just a giant foam bubble party. They clean up everything after as well, so that it's in essence they were hardly there. They will be coming and providing all of that. They even go so far as to bring like beach balls for that fun. They encourage people to wear their swimwear, bring your goggles, that kind of a thing. It is accessible for a variety of ages. The idea would be that it would be hosted at North Lawn and that this would be a summer reading kickoff. And that would be scheduled tentatively for Wednesday, June 17th from 2 to 3 o'clock. It is going to be $450. So it's a large amount, but again, for what we're getting out of it, kind of garnering up something big, something that we've never done before, um, something to consider.
Micah, just
I
to
like that idea a lot for a kickoff. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Sorry. One thing to quickly clarify. I just recall in the past meeting that you talked about the circus performers being the kickoff for the summer reading. So, is the proposal to go to this instead?
So the circus performers do not come out of our budget. That comes out of the Friends of the Library budget. That is what they do. And they also provide free books on that Friday for that program. If you think that those two big programs at the same time are in conflict, I can move the bubbles later in the summer. Maybe that's the end of the summer celebration. But we also previously talked about having kind of a establishing and connecting specifically with Glen Grove at North Lawn. We have had to move the circus performance inside because the circus performance will only perform inside. So that is currently being evaluated for Granite Ridge School Gym. I am still waiting for official confirmation that they're going to let me use the gym. My request is showing up as in process. And that is again at Granite Ridge. We've had the circus performers come for a program before. Um, we've never done the foam bubbles. If you prefer it to be a later program, I'm fine with that. But I think stagnancy is not our friend in creating enthusiasm and excitement.
I think moving that to maybe the week before school starts might be a good, like, end of summer program. And I would be in favor of doing something big at the end like that. And as far as the music in the Grove, I think we should work on finding sponsors over the course of the month. And once those start coming in, booking the bands, and then by the next meeting, we'd have a plan for music in the Grove. And we've got contacts too and forms we can make for sponsorship. So I think that's something we could probably collaborate on to make it like all happen.
To kind of piggyback off of Cindy's comment, I think one way we can focus is if we think about it from the month standpoint, in June we have as the big event the kind of kickoff. August we're talking about the Bubble Bash. And then from Music in the Grove, they're going to have the Fireman's Fest band. And then in
We are
August,
not Fireman's Fest band.
sorry, what was that?
We are not the Fireman's Fest
Yep.
band. The Fireman's Fest is something totally different. We are not paying and or sponsoring and or booking that.
Yep, I know, but I'm talking about the actual like Music in the Grove, the program itself. It's the Fireman's Fest, and then there's usually an August one too. What was the Taylor Swift one?
Yeah,
Yep,
which maybe we'll do something in September,
maybe it's August, September. Okay.
like a bigger one, yeah.
So it's
But
may-
is it just one event, like a July Music in the Grove and an August Music in the Grove?
that's what I'm trying to like think
Or is
through.
it, I don't,
Okay,
yeah.
so Music in the Grove itself is a program that is a weekly program, in theory. We, as a library, would just be sponsoring one once a month.
So it's in theory, but in the past, like I was going last year, they promoted the Fireman's Festival and then the August
Yeah, we only
one.
had
So
the
they only had the two. So in many
Because they
ways,
couldn't find other community
Yep.
sponsors. If you look the summer before that, it was actually like an every other week. And when it originally started, it was even more frequent than that.
I hear you on that. But I guess my point is, it might be worthwhile for us to hit July because then it fills in that gap in there. Like that's our primary focus. And then as we get more sponsors coming in, then we can kind of fill in and look in maybe something in June, maybe later June, and then do something in August, and then to kind of spread it out.
Yeah, what if we look at David Landau in July as the bigger name? A lot of people, I mean, parents of young children know that name. It does fill in that gap in July. June, you have, again, it sounds like we don't have a lot of, what I'm hearing is we have like the kickoff to summer reading that's being done by the Friends with that Friday event and the circus as the last week of school. But then the library board doesn't like really have a kickoff summer reading event unless it's being done jointly with the Friends, which is what I feel like has happened in the past, but I'm just not clear if that's what we're doing this year or
We
what's.
collaborate together. We just don't provide the funding. They primarily handle the funding. They also facilitate the acquisition and the sharing out of all the free books.
Got it.
So in many ways, it is the kickoff.
It is the kickoff. And we could certainly, I mean, I'm sure Monica could add other summer reading kickoff components to that related to the dinosaur digging theme or whatever, or combine it with circus stuff. I don't know. But where did I start with this? The bubble party sounds really fun. But yes, I'm trying to think of, my concern about doing it in August though is at the end of the summer, it's the last week or two before school. You've got community night out. You've got people that are kind of, you're already into fall sports. People are done with the summer stuff. I just don't know the right time to do it either. But it does sound really fun.
Can we bring it back at the May meeting? Once the rest of the schedule is figured out. And I guess when the handouts, when do those have to go to the school by?
I have to send in for the May newsletters like this week.
But then I think one other direction, if you don't mind, Monica, is to reach out to the school and find out when is their deadline for that final newsletter. Because they always do an end of school newsletter that has all the summer stuff in there. We've used that. Part of the reason why our May meeting is the program meeting for the summer is to make sure we have that all ironed out so that it's in that newsletter for the school, and they help promote that as well.
I mean, the schools now do 2 newsletters every month, and it's typically, you need it, for this coming, like today is the 15th, you need to have everything submitted today that you want to show up in the May 1st one. So theoretically, May 15th, you would need everything that you want coming out on the June 1st one-ish, unless they're sending out a special end of school year one. You're making a face, and I don't. I think I'm telling you what I know accurately. I don't.
My face is because our May
'Cause
meeting
that
is the
doesn't-
20th.
Right, yeah. Okay, just checking.
And as the Monona Grove School District rep, I don't know anything, but I could find out.
I think that would be great because if we figure out the deadline for that, then that does help us understand the deadlines for all these other events. But I'm also trying to think through of like what are the next steps? What are we going to give direction to Monica for? Because at the end of the day, we've had a lot of discussion. What is that direction at this point?
Monica, can I let you know Friday the timeline for newsletters for the rest of the year?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I
Okay.
will also be sending Emily an email, so we'll just kind of see as more
Okay.
information, the better.
Okay. I mean, I think Julie's the one you talk to. Oh, I shouldn't have maybe said that, but tomorrow we have a concert, so it's going to be a little hectic tomorrow.
Okay.
I think the direction is to find sponsors and then work on Music in the Grove opportunities throughout the summer. And then, I mean, maybe we just push the bubble to next year and use that as the kickoff to summer reading for next year instead of, and since circus is this year. And then there's a handout too, though, for summer reading that goes in all the kids' backpacks? Or is it just elected?
Yeah, so in theory, that should go to the schools so that way it can be shared by
Okay.
mid-May.
Yeah.
Because a lot of families leave early. A lot of families will do different things. Not to mention, we are seeking permission from those schools to allow us that space for that. So we're kind of a little bit at their mercy for that, to get that in their hands, which is why the hope was to have everything finalized sooner rather than later.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is it probably makes sense for a small group of us to make sure we have everything all game planned out for the summer. Because my big concern is I don't want to miss the deadline to get to the schools before our May meeting. So if you're interested in that group, let me know. We can form it and just communicate. That way Monica has a sounding board to kind of go off to help plan it off. We have the kickoff with the friends. Circus is coming through. So then the direction is, do we go forward with the July? That's one question I want to make sure we have in there. Do we go forward with the July and try and find sponsors?
I think this is just my opinion. I think it's perfectly reasonable for us to book that one David Landau performance as a Music in the Grove sponsor for July. In the meantime, as our kind of signature July event-ish, then we continue to look for, or we begin looking for any kind of co-community sponsors that want to help revive Music in the Grove, potentially in other weeks throughout the summer.
I like the sound of that.
Okay. Monica, is that clear? Does that give you enough direction for what you need?
It does. Again, this is halfway through the year. We have a healthy budget remaining. I don't want to be stuck having money at the end that we have to spend on different programming purposes. So I would just ask that we really take a look at the budget document that's included in here as what we have spent and what we see those funds and that return on investment for some of those expenses, versus what the return of investment for these programs that I've proposed would provide.
Okay. So I think, okay. Sorry, the screen was doing the multiple layer thing. So just want to make sure we're good there. But I think I hear you, Monica, on that. I think we have time to do that in May if we push it off a little bit. If we get David Lanell booked for July, then we'll be good. I think we have some flexibility for sure in that. So, okay. Any additional comments, questions regarding next steps for summer programming?
I had one question. The Tuesday and Wednesday programs that you mentioned, Monica, do you have do you have any ideas about what those kinds of things are going to be? Are they going to be
Yep, I've got a whole list.
Oh,
So looking
wonderful.
at my list, we are looking at things like kind of like a bike roundup. I don't want to call it a bike rodeo, but it's going to be like a little kind of a track in North Lawn parking lot that kids can come and bring their bikes to, and kind of do like an obstacle course on your bike. We'll have some extra bikes there too for some kiddos that might not have one, so they can still play and participate. Think like 80s fun. It's like a throwback summer reading program. You know how you'd take like your old school like playing card and use clothespin and clip it onto your bike, so your spoke, so you'd get like the motor sound to it. Oh, we're totally doing it. We've had requests for kind of a kickball, so utilizing the mounds at North Lawn Park as well. Again, continuing our STEAM and stories programming. That's been really fun with our 4K, doing some of those experiments, doing hopefully a fossil presentation. I have a few connections with archaeology for that. And then, of course, we're going to make our own quote unquote dinosaur eggs that we can go ahead and explore with. So we'll be interweaving some of those. Read to a therapy pet, do a chalk the walk, painting with chalk on sidewalks, a picnic in the park, a paint party, potentially even like the tie dye with squirt guns for different stuff. Like bring a few things, have some cloths on hand for that. So those are just a few that I've got. Family yoga, playground and popsicles. So just fun, simple things. Just easy and entertaining, free and accessible.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none. Moving on. So the next item on our agenda is consider approval of vouchers, and the documents are attached to the agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Cindy, second by Megan. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion is approved. Next on the agenda, village board updates. Anything from you, Cindy?
Yep, so there's gonna be a 5% increase with McFarland's contract starting in the fall that will have to be budgeted for, which is not very much, but we can probably expect kind of consistent updates or increases moving forward. And then I'll have appointments to the committees next month, and so library board will probably change a little bit. That's all I know.
Great. Any comments, questions before I move on? Hearing none. For my report, I actually don't have too much to share at this moment. Actually, I don't have anything to share at this moment, being explicit. Okay, moving on. So announcements. So we do have our next library board meeting on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. As I mentioned earlier, this is our programming one for kind of the next trimester that includes summer going into fall. So again, we will blast that out. This is a call out for everyone to think about what other programs do you want to see kind of summer into fall in there. Additionally, just want to mention we have our Badger Talk scheduled for April 22nd at 6:30. This is, and I just had it up, Wisconsin History Collected. So Tom Broman will be presenting. This will be in person at Drumlin Reserve at the assisted living facility. Correct, Monica?
No, it's at the independent living
Sorry.
community room. It's the same large community room that's hosted for chamber meetings.
Thank you for clarifying that. The independent living facility there.
It's just Wisconsin 101.
Wisconsin 101. Right. Any other announcements? Okay. Hearing none. So the next item in here is to go into closed session.
Can I make a suggestion to maybe not have closed session tonight and move it to May? Just because you might have new board members, and that would give them an opportunity to look at the role and what's been done and suggestions. Just a thought.
Okay. I would be open to that unless anyone has any questions or concerns about that. Okay, so as I'm looking at you as helping me for parliamentarian element, because
We don't need a closed session.
we don't need the closed session, so we can just,
Board appointments is future items. Just move on.
okay. So with that, future items, board appointments. So then we just need motion for adjournment. So
So moved.
okay, fair enough.
Second.
So my words are failing me. Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone.